It's Christmas time. Oh, hello, everybody. I've been kidnapped, and apparently I'm in a gray box with echoey sound and nondescript gray walls. Because if I'd be at home, there would be Broadway posters all behind me. Speaking of Broadway, did you all see the Tony Awards last night? The 74th Annual Tony Awards? Well, I did, and I loved it. And Blackie Humphrey watched with me, and he loved it. It was the first time he and I had watched together. I don't know if he watched it when he was with his old owners, because we don't know anything about them. Except a pet psychic did say, well, she's a regular psychic, she says, that he was with an Asian man who had a white girlfriend and that it didn't work out. But anyway, I digress. The Tony Awards, they were on Paramount Plus, the streaming platform, and then the last 2 hours were on CBS. And it was a concert called Broadway's Back. Well, the frustrating thing was, on the West Coast, of course, we never get the Tony Awards live. I don't know why. Discrimination. Yes, they always discriminate against the theater. So we had gotten the premium so that we could see the whole 4 hours in a row here on the West Coast. Not everyone, but me at least, and Blackie Humphrey. And then, of course, after the first 2 hours hosted by the delightful Audra McDonald, it didn't work anymore. And so we had to wait 3 hours, as I was afraid we were going to have to do, until the other Tony Awards concert started on CBS. This would be the equivalent of, well, I don't want to say anything inappropriate, would be the equivalent of being in the middle of lovemaking, and someone comes and lifts you off of the prostitute or whoever you're with, and then says you have to wait 3 hours to continue. Now, you might not be in the mood to continue after 3 hours, but luckily I was in the mood to watch the Tonys 3 hours later. I was just a little annoyed because we had already paid for the premium of Paramount Plus, so Marco, my roommate, had to call and complain because what was the purpose to get premium if it didn't work to watch the whole 4 hours? We would have just kept regular old Paramount Plus. But anyway, the awards were excellent. I cried. I'm told that Moulin Rouge won 10 awards, and The Inheritance, the play by Matthew Lopez, won 3, including Best Play. The show, like I said, was hosted by Audra McDonald, who I just love. And they started with You Can't Stop the Beat from Hairspray. Marissa Winoka was there, Matthew Morrison, Carrie Butler, everybody. Well, it wasn't like a full-on dance number because they had to film, like the nominated musicals, they had to film their dance scenes in the theater and show them, insert them into the show, because they couldn't be having all those people run around on the stage, But they did, and even if you went up to accept an award, you couldn't have like 20 people come up. They had to only allow 2 people come up. There were 4 people who won one thing, and 2 people came up, and then the other 2. What was nice about the streaming thing was that it allowed time for people to really get to say all their speeches. And the show still ran a little short the first 2 hours because there were 5 awards given to A Christmas Carol, and none of those people came. I'm assuming it was British, because why wouldn't they have been there unless they just couldn't come into this country because of the COVID? But nobody said why they weren't there, just that they weren't there. But yes, David Allen Greer won for featured actor in a play for A Soldier's Play. Danny Burstein won for featured actor in a musical for Moulin Rouge. Lois Smith won for featured actress in a play for The Inheritance, and Lauren Patton won for featured actress in a musical for Jagged Little Pill. And David Byrne won a special Tony for American Utopia. Ali Stroker performed What I Did for Love from a chorus line. Freestyle Love Supreme won a special Tony, and they also performed. Who else? A Christmas Carol won Best Original Score, because the 3 shows that were nominated for Best Musical were pre-existing music, like Tina Turner's music and Alanis Morissette music, and songs from Moulin Rouge that used different songs from pop music. So they couldn't be up for original score. So a play won a Best Original Score, and that was A Christmas Carol. They weren't there to accept. Diablo Cody won Best Book of a Musical for Jagged Little Pill. That would be my nomination if I was, that would be my category, I mean, if I were at the Tony Awards, because you know I write the books of musicals, though lately I haven't been writing anything involving musicals because I've had such a horrible time with working with composers. Not every time, but usually. That's a whole other show. I'll tell you about it one of these days. I'm almost ready to break my silence and talk about it like I did about that geometry teacher that used extortion to get money from students who were making poor grades. Well, everybody, even students that were making good grades, were extorted if they chose to pay, but that's another topic. Also, Stephen Daldry won for Best Direction of a Play for The Inheritance. I've got to see The Inheritance. That is 7 hours long. Alex Timbers won for Best Direction of a Musical for Moulin Rouge. And Jennifer Holliday brought down the house with her rendition of And I'm Telling You I'm Not Going for Dreamgirls, which was celebrating its 40th anniversary. But why did they show that on the streaming part and not on the CBS broadcast? I mean, my goodness, more people would be watching it on CBS, and she was excellent. So it was a shame that more people couldn't see her, but you can see it online, and there were standing ovations all through the ceremony for the 2 hours at the beginning, the 2 hours in the back end. It was amazing. Who else won? Andrew Burnap won for leading actor in a play. Aaron Tveit won for, and that was for The Inheritance. And Aaron Tveit, who was the only one nominated for leading actor in a musical for Moulin Rouge, because, you know, he was the only eligible person nominated. I mean, that could be nominated. So, yes, he still won. You had to have like 60% of the votes from Tony voters to get that award. So it would have been so sad if they had said, I'm sorry, even though you're the only nomination, you didn't win. And Mary Louise Parker, who we love, won for leading actress in a play for The Sound Inside. And Adrienne Warren won for leading actress in a musical for Tina, the Tina Turner musical. American Utopia performed, Moulin Rouge performed, Ain't Too Proud performed with John Legend. A Soldier's Play won for Best Revival of a Play. The Inheritance won for Best Play. Oh, yes. And Cheetah Rivera said that 64 years ago on that very night, September 26, 1957, she originated the role of Anita in West Side Story at that very theater, the Winter Garden Theater. Isn't that amazing? And so 64 years later, there she was, still in the business, still at a Tony Awards, a theatrical event. Of course, if you're at a theater, you're going to be at a theatrical event probably, unless you're there with the Wrecking Ball or something. But yes, Best Musical was Moulin Rouge, the musical, which, as I said, of course, won 10 awards. And they did this amazing thing with duets. They had like Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel do a song from Wicked. They did Adam Pascal and Anthony Rapp from Rent perform, and Brian Stokes Mitchell and Audra McDonald from Ragtime. So it was a successful evening for all, but it was still a little complicated with the whole Paramount Plus and then going over to the CBS afterwards, and then the West Coast not getting to watch the second part of the show right away. Just don't like that. How come they'll show the Oscars and the Emmys and sporting events live, and yet on the West Coast, we never get the Tonys live. We get those other things early, and then they just, like the Golden Globes, they'll start those at 5 o'clock, and then they just start it over at 8 o'clock, show it twice. But they don't do that with the Tonys. It's discrimination against theater people. Anyway, that left a really bad taste in my mouth. I wish Blackie Humphrey were here to give me a kiss and take that taste away. Anyway, I'll do a review later in the week of Dear Evan Hansen. Everybody's talking about that. And we might review Everybody's Talking About Jamie, which they're also talking about. Okay, I'll see you next time when it's Christmas time.